This program is made possible by generous support from China City, with locations in Oak Harbor, Freeland, and Mill Creek, Washington, as well as these local businesses.
I want to talk about death. No, just kidding. That's way too heavy. But I do want to talk about cemeteries. I have an unusual fondness for graveyards, and that's no doubt rooted in my childhood experiences. I grew up in New England, where a large cemetery in my backyard was, for all intents and purposes, my playground. To me, it was a place of joy and wonder. I've always loved to read, and a cemetery is like a big outside book with so many stories. And think about it. Long straight roads, very little traffic. It was the ideal place to learn how to ride a bike or fly a kite, play hide and seek, or better yet, kick the can. Kick the can was like hide and seek at night, but it had this raid on Entebbe, save the captured hostages aspect to it, and I found it very thrilling. Other days we would carry in bats and bags, and we played baseball in the undeveloped burial plots. Later on, that's where my dad taught me to drive. And just beyond that big cemetery, in the woods, was a smaller, hidden cemetery. And I remember being intrigued by a very old, like 1600s, headstone of a woman. And it was the epitaph that really caught my eye. As you pass by, see here I lie. As you are now, so once was I. As I am now, you too must be. Prepare for death and follow me. I remember thinking, man, she is very chill for a 17th century woman. But that began my friendship with the concept of death. I became easy with the inevitability of it, and acknowledging that inevitability each and every day has helped me lead a fuller life. There's a folk band from Berkeley, Rebecca Riots. They've played on this very stage a number of times. They have a song called Cemetery, and a lyric from that song spoke to me the first time I heard it. Keep death upon your shoulder. It will remind you to love. So my relationship with cemeteries has given me a healthy relationship with death, and that has served me well, especially in my military experience. I've known tragedy in that world. But a military leader, any leader actually, has the obligation to get through the phases of grief faster than the people under their command. It's essential that I go through it quicker than my troops, because you can't take anyone any further than you've actually gone yourself. I'm the one responsible for pulling them out of the shock and the sadness and getting the group moving forward again, despite the pain. I'm an atheist. But if I were to claim a church on this earth, it would be the Church of Sunnyside Cemetery in Coopville. Because that's where I go to find inspiration, which is what I think religion should do. I'm inspired by so much there. You know, the beautiful vista overlooking Eby's Prairie, the sense of peacefulness that view brings. But I'm mostly inspired by three things: the graves of the pioneers, the volunteers, and the lovers. At Sunnyside, you'll see the resting places of some of the earliest families that traveled across this wide country to seek a better life on the new frontier of Whidbey. Now, what courage they must have had to leave all behind and venture into the unknown, and what courage to withstand the hardships of such a life. And then I turned to some of the newer graves, and that's where I encountered the names of many friends. You see, when I first moved to Whidbey, I worked for the Housing Authority, and they managed the senior housing on the island, and those complexes were full of widows, and I knew most of them. And then I became the volunteer coordinator at Whidbey General Hospital. Well, you put those two jobs together, And at that time, I pretty much knew every little old lady on Whidbey Island. And at Whidbey Gen, I had this army of volunteers, and I admired them so much. You know, they were not sitting around complaining about getting old. They were coming to work every day, giving of themselves, helping others with no compensation other than our most profound gratitude. These women are my heroes. I want to be just like them someday. But now when I go to Sunnyside, I see a lot of their names, and I pause and I remember them with fondness. Sometimes I see the name of a friend who I know is still alive. I mean, we just emailed 5 minutes ago. But her husband has passed, and her name is right there beside his. There's just no date yet at the end of her dash. Now, my first date with my wife, Jules, irrevocably cemented my connection to cemeteries. Wait for it. Almost 30 years ago, we met. And for me, it was love at first sight. For her, not so much. So I waited patiently 2 years until finally my destiny started to look my way. She asked me out, and she showed up with a picnic basket and a bottle of wine, and we started to drive into the country, and after a short drive, I realized that she was turning the car into a cemetery. Bold move, Roth, I said, taking a girl to a cemetery on a first date. This could have gone way wrong for you, but in this case, it went way right. I mean, that date only confirmed what I had already known. She was the love of my life. She was my split apart. So what I love most about Sunnyside are the graves where you can tell by the names and the inscription that they were two women who shared a life of love and are now sharing the aftertime as well. That took a whole different kind of courage. Maybe not so much today, which is a good thing. A walk in a cemetery provides me with both inspiration and a sense of purpose. And it can do that for you as well, because we all have one thing in common. When we pass, there'll be a marker with the date of our birth and a dash and the date of our death. It's what we do with the dash that determines if we're quickly forgotten or remembered with fondness. Cemeteries remind me of that each and every day.